Hello, hi everyone. Welcome again to Daytona Office Hours. So we're picking up where we left off. We're continuing on with regular office hours like every week. So let's start off, as always, by me sharing my screen and going over some of the changes that happened in the past few days, or to be exact, the past week. And then we'll get into stuff we have coming up, and that's basically it. Have an open floor for questions or discussions, if anyone has any, and that's about it. So since the last office hours, if we check out our commits, we have made some features, some changes. There were quite a bit of UX improvements by some of the contributors, solving general issues around the repo. Those include some fixes to empty tables, so they're more informative. For example, when you have, actually, I can log in. Let me just do that. Let me log into the platform. So, for example, in the empty registries table, now you'll see what the registries are actually, and that no contained registries are found rather than a generic message. Also, we added specific labeling to the table, so now registries per page is displayed instead of items. Same with volumes, keys, API keys, etc. Then we have some fixes to the onboarding API key permissions. So for those of you who haven't gone through the onboarding guide, when you don't have sandboxes, you can just click on the onboarding guide or access it right here from the UI itself. And then you can view the onboarding guide, which basically is a guide on how to install the SDK for TypeScript and Python, then create an API key right here, which you can just like name it, I don't know, test, and then it will create an API key, which you can go ahead and copy paste into the example that's below. Then we have some fixes for the limits page, and actually we made significant changes to the usage and limits page. So right now we have the limits page right here, which actually shows you your usage limits and how to increase your limits as well. I noticed an error in the error popped up. I'll take a look at that ASAP. But now you can get an overview of the compute, memory, and storage, and also how to increase those limits. Then we actually, one of the contributors noticed that we are missing some toolbox API calls from the API, like deleting a Git branch. I think checking out the branch was somewhere in here as well. And lastly, one of the biggest changes was adding linked accounts. So now if you go to the linked account section, you'll be able to link Google, Auth, and GitHub as well. And that is one of the requirements for pushing your account to tier 2 as well. You have to have GitHub connected. And the tiering system is something that we implemented that will allow users to automatically upgrade to larger quotas. So you don't need to like reach out to support. You will automatically get bumped up a tier when you go through the tier criteria in the limits page. That's about it. Some of the fixes were some APIs, API fixes. For example, one of the notable one that was requested by a user was enabling CORS on our API. So now our API can be requested, or let's say our API serves now any domain, so you can call the Daytona SDK from front-end applications as well. You don't have to be on the Daytona domain. Basically now it's open to all and more flexible, so you can implement Daytona, the Daytona SDK in the browser as well, which should give users much more flexibility in where they use Daytona. That's about it from the new features. Some of the pull requests, I'll just go over one of the most notable pull requests, which is component naming refactor by our colleague Ivan. As you can see, it's a big refactor to Daytona. It's mostly renaming some components in the backend and renaming some components on the front end side of things. So or should I say like user-facing and not user-facing stuff. So if you go through the description, you'll notice that we renamed Snapshot the backup from the sandbox model. We actually renamed Workspace the sandbox internally because that was a, let's say, legacy naming scheme from Daytona before. Then we renamed Image to Snapshot to prepare for our snapshotting feature. And then we renamed Notes Runner internally. This doesn't really affect users, but it was just some cleanup that was required in the backend. And this big overhaul will affect the SDK as well, and we will probably launch this on Monday. It might cause some downtime. We'll send an email to all users to let them know how this will affect your service, but basically the best way to move forward from Monday once we deploy it is to just update the SDK, and that's it. No major interventions from the user side should be required. Depending on how you use the SDK, you might maybe need to change some of the parameters when creating sandboxes, but that's very minor. We'll also have docs on how to migrate and what was changed. So that's the biggest change that we have coming up, and this of course is needed to prepare for some of the next features we have coming up, and generally just to clean up the repo and make it more maintainable. That's about it, I think, for the changes and upcoming features we have in the next week. If no one has any questions, I'll stop right here. As always, you can reach out via Slack, Twitter, GitHub. GitHub issues are always open. Reach out to us if you need any help, or if you want to talk about Daytona or agents in general or AI in general. We're always happy to talk. And if no one has any questions, that's it for this iteration of Daytona Office Hours. See you all again next week.